Okay, welcome back everyone to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something you've probably seen popping up everywhere. Maybe you even picked one up yourself. Blind boxes.
Exactly. Those little sealed packages, with the surprise collectible toy hidden inside. And the thing that really stands out from the investigation we looked at, the prices.
Yeah.
The source mentioned seeing these small toys, maybe just a few inches high, little baby figure dressed like a cat, listed for $85.
$85.
Or even $100 sometimes.
I want $85 or $100 for one little toy when the box itself costs, what, $10, $15?
Way, way less usually. It feels totally disproportionate.
Completely.
And apparently that huge markup, it's driven by this massive global resale market, a market that, the source says, seemed to appear basically overnight.
Wow.
And the whole industry has, doubled in size in just the last 4 years.
Doubled to a multi-billion-dollar valuation in 4 years.
Yeah.
That's not just growth. That sounds like an explosion.
Pretty much.
So, okay, that's our mission for this deep dive then, to figure out what's fueling this massive, almost sudden blind box boom.
Exactly. And we're using insights mainly from this really detailed YouTube investigation that properly dug into the whole thing.
All right, let's get into it. So when I think surprise toy, my mind kind of goes to, like, baseball cards back in the day, or maybe Kinder Eggs.
Yeah.
But these blind boxes, especially the popular ones the source talks about, they feel different somehow.
They really do. And a key point from the investigation is that the ones people really go for, they often don't lean on some big existing franchise, like a movie or a game. They don't even necessarily have a function.
Huh?
They're described as being a lot closer to art, just designed to, make you smile or stare.
Art you can hold in your hand.
Sort of, yeah. And companies like Pop Mart, who are huge in this space, they're known for just pumping out this huge variety of styles that kind of fit that description.
Okay, so who's buying this art that makes you smile? The source mentioned a mob tech report.
It pinpointed a pretty specific demographic. Women mostly aged 18 to 34.
Right.
And often living in or near big cities.
Okay, and what's the draw for them specifically?
Well, it seems like a big part of it is nostalgia. The source connects it back to those little cherished childhood things, saving up pocket money for keychains maybe, or that excitement over getting a Happy Meal toy.
Oh, yeah. I remember that feeling.
Or even stuff like online dress-up games, just simple pleasures.
That makes sense. And it connects to that whole trend, doesn't it? The one that got big around like the early 2020s.
You mean the healing your inner child idea?
Exactly. People were actively looking for comfort, for joy, in things they loved as kids. Whether it was old Pokemon cards, or those Squishmallows became huge.
Or, opening blind boxes. It fits right in.
And the price probably helps too, often under $20.
Yeah, the source calls it a little treat. It's accessible, makes it an easier impulse buy, less guilt.
But it's not just about the toy itself or even just the personal nostalgia trip, is it? The investigation really stressed the social side of things.
Oh, absolutely. That's huge. People sharing their unboxings online, which is basically free advertising, right?
Totally.
Doing unboxings with friends, swapping duplicates. You mentioned getting Smisky duplicates as a gift. That's so common.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
It builds this shared experience, this feeling of being part of an in-group, and people want to be part of that.
That community pool is strong. But okay, flipping to the business side. There's obviously a strategy here too. The source called it demand optimization.
Yeah, demand optimization.
What does that actually mean in this context? That sounds a bit corporate jargony.
Maybe a little. But think of it like this. Say you've got $20 for dinner, but you're staring at a food court with 50 options. It's overwhelming.
Right. That decision paralysis is real.
Exactly. Blind boxes kind of short-circuit that. You don't have to pick which specific design you want, the cat or the dog or the one with the hat. You just decide to buy a box from that series. It makes the choice much, much simpler for the consumer.
Okay. So less thinking for the buyer. And what's the upside for the companies making them?
Oh, it's super efficient for them. They can offer this huge range of designs in one collection without needing to guess exactly how many people will want the cat versus the dog.
Right, because people aren't buying a specific character, they're buying a chance.
Precisely. They just need to produce the total number of boxes for the series. It cuts down their inventory risk massively, and it lets them be way more creative, try out quirkier designs.
And if they do end up with too many of one design, like loads of the food player nobody wanted.
Well, the source mentioned they can bundle them up into clearance bags or mystery packs later on. Sell them off cheap.
And some people actually like that. Buying the random discount bag?
Apparently, yeah. For some buyers, the chance to maybe get something they missed, but at a lower price, it's worth the risk of getting more duplicates.
Okay, so easier choices for us, less risk for them. I can see why more companies are jumping on this model.
For sure, but the analysis also goes a bit deeper into the psychology of it all. And that's where it gets maybe a little more compelling and potentially unsettling.
Okay, you're hinting at the whole gambling-like aspect, that intermittent reinforcement idea.
That's the one, intermittent reinforcement, or a variable schedule of reinforcement, technically. The basic idea is you do an action, but you only get the reward sometimes, not every time.
And our brains love that unpredictability.
They really, really do. It's tied to dopamine bursts. When you do get that win, that rare item, big dopamine hit, and when you don't, it actually makes you want to try again even more to chase that feeling, that potential reward.
Which sounds a lot like the gambler's fallacy, right? That feeling of, oh, I've lost 3 times, I must be due for a win now.
It taps right into that cognitive bias, yeah. And what's really interesting is how the investigation ties this to a technical definition of gambling.
Which is
Paying money for an action that leads to a potential reward of monetary value or something desired.
so paying for a blind box, where the potential reward is getting that specific rare toy you want.
Under that definition, yeah. The source actually points out that in some places, like the Netherlands and the UK, blind boxes are technically considered a form of gambling by regulators.
Oh, wow. Okay. That puts a different spin on just buying a cute toy.
It does. And remember that statistic from the Pop Mart prospectus?
Well, what about how many boxes people buy?
Yeah, that 70% of their customers would buy 3 or more boxes just chasing one specific design.
70%. That's not just casual collecting. That chase is a major driver.
It really shows the power of that unpredictable reward structure. And right now, there aren't really specific rules for blind boxes in most countries. The closest thing people compare them to is video game loot boxes, which have faced scrutiny. But the source also kind of broadens the idea of what gambling even looks like today, suggests it's maybe more woven into our lives than we realize.
How so?
Well, think about gambling our attention. Constantly scrolling social media, endlessly checking notifications. What are we doing? We're hoping for that little hit, that engaging post, that rewarding notification. It's a similar mechanism, chasing an unpredictable reward.
That's actually a really powerful comparison. I hadn't thought of it like that. Scrolling as a gamble for dopamine.
Yeah, so gambling isn't just casinos and lottery tickets anymore. It exists on this whole spectrum. And regulators are grappling with where to draw lines, especially because there's growing research linking early exposure to these kinds of gambling-like mechanics to potential problems down the road.
Which brings us to a pretty core hypothesis from the investigation, doesn't it? Could this massive growth be partly because the product itself is, well, addictive, using the economic definition?
Exactly. The economic definition being, doing something today makes you want to do it more in the future. So buying one blind box might increase your desire to buy another one later.
The author of the source piece even tested this a bit, didn't they? They built a website.
Yeah, they did. Set up a little virtual claw machine game giving out digital blind box items. Had around 2,600 visitors and something like 1,700 played more than once.
And what did they find from watching how people played?
They saw this clear split. For most people, it was just novelty. They played a few times, the thrill wore off, they moved on.
Okay, fair enough. But there was another group.
Oh yeah, a smaller but much more dedicated group. These people had a mission.
A mission? Like what?
They were trying to collect all the digital designs in the series, or they were laser focused on getting the super rare secret one. And get this, even when the site offered them the chance to just buy the secret item directly,
They didn't.
a lot of them preferred to keep playing the game. They wanted to win it, to feel like they'd earned it through the chase.
Wow. Okay. That really highlights something important, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That for some people, it's not just about the thing inside the box, it's the whole package.
Exactly. It's the experience, the anticipation, the chase, the ritual of opening it, the satisfaction or the disappointment. It's all part of the appeal, more than just the transaction.
Yeah, you hear that in the personal stories in the source, too.
Yeah.
And just talking to friends who collect. Sometimes you really want one specific design, like that friend obsessed with the Ram helmet Sunny Angel. Other times, you're just happy with anything kind of cute and tiny.
Right. Or the social pressure. Oh, you're getting one. Okay, I'll get one too.
Totally. Or just the relief of not having to choose.
Yeah.
Just grab a box, any box.
The simple joy of giving them as gifts too.
Yeah. And that feeling, the source mentioned, that friend who got the pink one they wanted first try, instant connection. Suddenly they're a collector.
It hooks you in.
And the author's own story about going to the mall. It kind of captures all these threads at once, doesn't it?
Yeah, walking in, seeing the full sets displayed, that collector urge starts bubbling up.
And then the actual choosing of the tax, the anxiety,
Yeah,
shaking them, trying to feel the weight,
trying to game the system. Yeah.
and the crushing disappointment of getting the one design they really didn't want, the flute player.
Ugh, the worst feeling.
Followed by that almost immediate, need to buy a second one.
Uh-huh.
Right there, right then.
That compulsion, even if you end up liking the toys you get.
Yeah, you could like the little figures, but still feel like maybe you weren't totally in control of how you got them.
That's a good way to put it. A slight lack of agency in the acquisition.
Though the author did conclude, for themselves anyway, that it wasn't necessarily addictive in that economic sense from that one trip. They didn't feel compelled to just keep buying endlessly.
Right. And they brought up that older study, the casino loyalty card one from the mid-2000s. It showed most people gambled occasionally without signs of problems, which suggests maybe blind boxes are similar for most people. Just harmless fun, cute designs, community, a little thrill.
That's definitely one way to look at it. A more optimistic take. But there's always a but.
Well, yeah. Given how much we hear about rise in gambling harms and just how common these kinds of chance-based mechanics are becoming, and everything from apps to toys,
Yeah.
you have to ask, right?
Ask if blind boxes, even if fine for many, are part of a bigger trend. Maybe even a kind of gateway.
Exactly. Could they be normalizing these reward structures, especially for younger people, introducing them early? It's a worry.
So it's complicated.
It really seems to be. The investigation points towards a mix. It's the genuine fun, the art, the community.
Plus the smart business model of demand optimization.
Layered on top of that really powerful psychological hook of intermittent reinforcement, that variable reward.
It's never just one thing driving something this big, is it? It's usually a combination of factors hitting at the right time.
That intersection of social trends, business needs, and, well, basic human psychology, that seems to be what creates these massive market shifts.
And like you said earlier, it's probably not just blind boxes where these dynamics are at play.
Definitely not. Once you start looking, you might see similar things happening elsewhere in your own life. Situations that simplify choices for you or offer those unpredictable little rewards that keep you coming back.
So maybe the final thought for you, listening, is this. As you think about blind boxes and why they become so huge, consider the bigger picture. Could this trend be a symptom, maybe even a small contributor, to a world where these gambling-like reward systems are just becoming normal, embedded in more and more products and experiences? And what might that mean for how we all, especially younger generations, learn to think about risk, reward, and maybe even control? What do you notice out there?